All right. We are back
Yeah.
if y'all saw the title, a karma-filled wild card weekend.
So much
Boy,
fun.
like I just got to say, Mikey, like like I kind of I okay I enjoyed the Bears beating the Packers. I thought that was, especially the way it happened. Packers fans are off the hook now for me. I'm like I think you asked me, it was you or somebody else asked me. It's like um, you know, like something along the lines of have Packers fans suffered enough now or whatever.
That
And
was
like the answer
definitely
is yes. The answer is yes. Y'all are off the hook. I don't need to I just felt Packers fans were getting a little arrogant, and a little smug, and kind of needed their teeth kicked in a little bit. And well, that's what happened. It's one thing to lose to the 49ers repeatedly in the playoffs, but it's another thing to act like there's like other than Tom Grossi. I'm not talking about Tom Grossi because Tom Grossi doesn't deserve anything but good things forever, but he's not the only Packers fan on the planet. But I mean, Tom Grossi was being realistic about the game, but a lot of Packers fans were basically acting like the Bears are going to be a walkover, and they kept saying like we want the Bears because like they're like, well, we're going to kick the Bears' asses and we own them, and that's the way it's going to go. So it's just nice to see a team that is full of themselves get knocked back down to earth by the team that they just spend all of their entire existence bullying. Be nice if the Bengals would do that to the fucking Steelers at some point, but until that day, I can just live vicariously through other teams. But yes, I'm off my I don't want to call it a hate train for the Packers, but like my y'all are spoiled and need to suffer train.
Oh, that's nice.
So the Packers, we're good now. I hope y'all win. I hope y'all lose the Super Bowl next year to the Bengals. How about that?
2028 Super Bowl Saints.
Okay. Daniel Barry says, "What's up?"
What's up?
What's up? But the most truly beautiful and karma-filled result of the weekend for me. I know I'm like most of y'all probably don't give that much of a shit. Although there are quite a few Bengals fans who watch this show. But for me, the result that just absolutely like made me smile ear to ear. I couldn't stop smiling for like the like I just stopped smiling like right before I turned this on. Like and I'm just look at me, I'm smiling again because it makes my heart flutter when I think about how the Steelers got absolutely butt pummeled by
No
the
more Mike
Texans.
Tomlin. No more Mike Tomlin. They beat the Steelers
That's
so
sad.
bad that Mike Tomlin's like, yeah, I don't think coaching is for me no more.
Well, that's not what happened. I think um
No.
I think he's taking a break, and I think the relationship with the Steelers has been kind of on ice for a little while, and I think I think Mike Tomlin is kind of the same thing with Marvin Lewis. Like Marvin Lewis kind of did the same thing, although technically the Bengals like fired him, but it was a mutual decision, and the difference is in this case, Mike Tomlin decided to, or like the Steelers front office and Mike Tomlin all agreed to say, well, let's just say Mike Tomlin told us. That way we can retain his rights and potentially trade him somewhere. And Mike Tomlin's trying to do his team a solid that way. With Marvin Lewis, it was the opposite because the fan base so desperately wanted Marvin Lewis fired, and we were about to fucking riot if he wasn't. And so, I think Marvin Lewis and Mike Brown agreed that it was about time to kind of like, go separate ways, and like the whole experiment had kind of become stale. But they were like, okay, we're just going to say that Marvin Lewis got fired here. That way the fan base doesn't fucking riot.
So do you think Mike Tomlin's going to do like a Sean Payton thing where he leaves and then he just does like TV or whatever for a year and then he comes back?
I think it depends on if he's any good at TV or not. Like that's the thing about Sean Payton is he wasn't really particularly good at TV. So I'm not saying he like his plan wasn't to come back all along. Maybe that's why he wasn't good at TV is because he wasn't really trying very hard because he knew he was going to go back to coaching. But with Mike Tomlin, I think it just depends on what he wants to do. Like, is he wanting to come back to coaching? Well, then he's going to focus on coaching. He's probably not going to be that good at broadcasting, and then he'll naturally kind of find his way back to coaching. But if he is indeed tired and wants to do something else, kind of like Bill Cowher, then he'll probably put his effort into doing that. My issue with Mike Tomlin broadcasting is like I just don't think he's got the personality for broadcasting. Like he's got a great personality for watchability and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the problem is Mike Tomlin's got a YouTube personality. Mike Tomlin doesn't have like a CBS personality or or an ESPN personality. Like he's too honest. Like all those talking heads on ESPN, I know they're loud and they say crazy shit all the time, but like half of that shit's rehearsed. And like almost all of it is stuff that ESPN very much is not just on board with, but is probably scripting them to say to some extent. Whereas like Mike Tomlin's just going to say whatever the fuck's on his mind, which I don't think is going to is going to play very nicely with a lot of these like traditional media outlets. Now he could go to YouTube. He's not gonna do that. But I think he would be much better. I think Mike Tomlin would be very interesting to hear what he has to say about the game and stuff like that. The problem is the medium that he's going to, I think, is going to it restricts people. And there was a time when that was the only way to get out there, but it's not the only way to get out there now. And so it's like, I gotta say, Mike Tomlin being on a broadcast would probably be kind of disappointing, frankly.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah, he is no longer the head coach of the Steelers, and it's like hard to argue with the way that they've just like gotten like Mike Tomlin tied Marvin Lewis for most consecutive playoff losses. By any head coach. And the Steelers are now tied with the Bengals' entire franchise for most they're one behind. The Bengals had one more, and that's mostly because they lost a playoff game in 1991 and then had the entire lost decade of just like god awful garbage bullshit. And then we didn't the next time we actually won a playoff game was on that 2021 Super Bowl run. But yeah, the Steelers you still need to lose one more playoff game to tie us. It's fine if it's not with Mike Tomlin though, because that was I believe Sam Weich who started that playoff losing streak with the Bengals, and then Marvin Lewis put the most of it in.
Yeah, I mean, John Harbaugh's already off the market, so we'll see who the Steelers end up getting. And
they weren't going to get John Harbaugh.
Huh?
John Harbaugh was never going to coach the Steelers. That was never going to happen.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm just listing the only coach that's off the market now. He's the only guy that's not available. Yeah. If they wanted to hire John Harbaugh, but I mean, I heard rumors about them potentially targeting Arthur Smith, who's their offensive coordinator. Which if they have him,
I would be like, I don't think you understand the amount of joy that would bring me.
Oh, I understand.
Or alternatively, the amount of pain that would cause if it actually worked out. But most likely that's not going to happen. Most likely what's going to happen is it would be a fucking disaster, and that would just like my life would just like instantly improve. Like the Bengals could continue to be bad, and if the Steelers continue to be a joke post Mike Tomlin, that at least takes the pain of the Bengals being bad and makes it not as painful.
This year, I feel like we're just getting the most ridiculous head coaching interviews out there. I mean, bro, the Titans freaking interviewed Jason Garrett the other day. I forgot that dude was even alive.
Yeah, he was alive. He wasn't that old when he left Dallas.
No, the joke is that I forgot he even existed. So
I know, I understand. Well, he was broadcasting there for a little bit, wasn't he?
I don't get I remember the other day, which might have been like a week or two ago, I was watching the broadcast thing, and I'm like, is that Jason Garrett? Dang. All right.
So since we're on the topic of head coaches, we'll get back to the wild card here in a second and talk about the other games. In fact, actually, what we'll do is we'll actually talk because all we've talked about so far is like the like my personal emotional reaction to two of the games. We didn't actually talk about the games themselves, so we'll talk about the wild card games here in a second. Let's talk about some of these head coaching openings. Let's see, the Giants filled theirs.
Yep.
It sounds like wasn't there somebody else who was like on the verge of hiring someone?
I mean, I know a lot of guys are talking, but the Giants are the only one that's officially put pen to paper.
Maybe I'm thinking of like the Dolphins, and that was something else.
Mike McDaniel, I think, is close to going to the Eagles to be their new offensive coordinator. He's close to that. They haven't made it official, though.
That'd be a good move for him.
Yeah.
Because most likely, that head coaching job's going to be open relatively soon. And that'd be an opportunity for him to get back into being a head coach.
Yeah, he was talking to the Eagles and the Lions, but I know they're saying that the Eagles one is like the closest one to happening. And I think McDaniels, I think the Eagles were also interviewing Brian Daboll as well, which would be interesting because Brian Daboll once upon a time coached Jalen Hurts when he was at Alabama. That would be definitely interesting.
I think counterintuitively enough, Mike McDaniel's best shot at winning a Super Bowl, at least as an offensive coordinator, would be with the Lions rather than the Eagles. But like I said, I think his better shot at, if he's angling to get back into head coaching, he's probably got a better path toward that by going to the Eagles.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, the NFC East really ain't. I mean, the Giants could be an improved team under Harbaugh, but the NFC East still ain't great. So I feel like the Eagles, the NFC East is just like the NFC South for me, except they have one team that knows how to win games.
Well, the Eagles will probably be consistently in the playoffs, although I feel like the Commanders will probably, get back on track to some extent. That doesn't mean that, whatever. And the Cowboys probably will come back at some point. Dak Prescott had a pretty good year this year. They do have, because of trading Micah Parsons, they do have draft capital now. So, I wouldn't put it past the Cowboys to come back. Really, the Giants are the only team that I don't see. Well, actually, no, because now that I say that, but I mean, they got like a really young, interesting group. Now they got John Harbaugh to coach them, and that might work. It might not. But like honestly, the NFC East, before you know it, the NFC East could be the most competitive division in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like once you really think about it, but so head coaching candidates who are available. According to this list on ESPN, there's Vance Joseph. Why?
I don't know.
Why? Why is anybody really considering Vance Joseph?
Cardinals.
Chris Shula, which
that could be interesting. He's from the Sean McVay tree, so that could be interesting.
He's also the son of one of the most egregiously awful head coaches in my team's history, probably the most egregiously awful coach, and it's not even close. And when I think the Shula family, all I think is nepotism. So, I mean, I don't know a lot about Chris Shula. I know the Rams defense has been, good with him, but I'm skeptical about Chris Shula just because I worry that he's gotten where he's gotten because of his last name.
I mean, the Rams defense hasn't really been that great. I don't know how to feel about Chris Shula.
Well, that's the thing. Like the Rams defense. Now it's not. You lose Aaron Donald, it's not going to be better for sure.
Aaron Donald like 3 years ago.
I know, but like, how long's Chris Shula been their defensive coordinator?
I don't freaking know.
Point being, they've had to rebuild. What I'm saying is the Rams defense has been better than I thought they'd be after losing all those pieces. But let's see. Chris Shula has been for the last 2 years. So basically his job has been rebuilding the Rams defense after Aaron Donald left, and then after Von Bell left, and then after that, like obviously Von Bell left earlier than Aaron Donald did, but his task was to rebuild that Rams defense, and I thought he did a fine job. Nothing, nothing severely interesting, but that's my whole thing with Chris Shula. I don't know too much about Chris Shula, and so I hesitate to say that he's going to suck because whatever. But it's just like I'm looking at his resume and I'm like, none of it really stands out to me all that much. Like it feels like nepotism, and that's all I associate the Shula name with anyway.
I mean, look, I'm never really a big fan of hiring defensive-minded head coaches, mainly because if you want to win games, you need an offense. And I understand sometimes you get your D'Amico Ryans, but like for example, Aaron Glenn, I can still say I've never heard this man speak one word. Like Aaron Glenn, every time, I don't know if you watch, but like on the Jets sideline, he looks like a miserable grandpa that's just waiting for the clock to hit 2:00. Like this man just don't this man don't look like he's coaching a football game. Like these guys, this might be trauma because we hired Dennis Allen. This might be trauma speaking, but ever since that really, and even a little bit before that, I was never a big fan of hiring like defensive-minded head coach because in order to win games, you gotta score points. I understand you need your defense to be good too, but like I'm sorry, but you ain't gonna win a game 10-3 every single week and make a run. So I've never been like I've never hated moves like that, but I've never been like my first guy. Let's go get the defensive mind. Like I've never been like that, like that personally.
So, I mean, my thought process is like Bill Belichick.
I mean, yeah. Look, I'm not
Marvin
saying
Lewis
don't always work. I mean,
okay, but offensive-minded guys don't always work either.
Okay, but that was like a different generation. Like Bill Belichick was coming. Like back then, defenses were supposed to be good because all you had to do was defend for the run. They threw the ball 20 times at the most if they were lucky.
When?
Back then.
Back when?
Back
in the 2000s?
Yeah.
No, I mean like Tom Brady did initially.
That's when the passing game was started to evolve. But I mean, and back then defensive-minded head coaches were the bomb. I'm not saying they weren't, but now in the year 2026, offenses are key to winning. Like, I mean,
Mike Zimmer? I mean, like I know they didn't win. I know they didn't win.
Zimmer got fired.
But he was probably the best head coach the Vikings have had in decades.
I mean, Kevin O'Connell is way better than what Zimmer was.
Zimmer had him in an NFC championship.
And, okay, fair point. But Kevin O'Connell had them winning 14 games.
Also, like,
Sam Darnold,
okay,
Sam Darnold was good.
That was insane that the Vikings won 14 games. That's one of the most mind-boggling results I've ever seen in my life is that Vikings team winning 14 games, which is a credit to Kevin O'Connell. But I will say, look at what's he done otherwise?
He made the playoffs with crappy Kirk Cousins a couple years before that.
Kirk Cousins was decent for the Vikings.
Worst quarterback of all time? I absolutely agree.
For the Falcons, not for the Vikings.
I don't remember him being on the Vikings.
I mean, he was like he was okay. I don't want to sit here and say that like Kirk Cousins was elite with the Vikings or anything like that, but like, and the biggest issue with Kirk Cousins on the Vikings was the fact that Kirk Cousins was being paid insane amounts of money. And his play wasn't really quite good enough to warrant that kind of money. But Kirk Cousins might have been the best quarterback that the Vikings had since Brett Favre. Maybe you could argue Sam Darnold. But Kirk Cousins was Sam Darnold was a stopgap. He wasn't, he ended up doing pretty okay for him, but he wasn't ever intended to be the guy. Whereas, like, I think Sam Darnold might be the guy in Seattle now. Like, I think they're going to settle on Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold's going to be their franchise quarterback now.
Better than Jalen Milroe.
You just got to throw that one in there, don't you?
Yeah. Like I don't know. I don't think you understand how bad this dude is.
I mean, I've seen the few things I've seen him do in the NFL. I didn't watch him in college, man. Like I'm not a college guy, but like the few things I've seen him do in the NFL are pretty bad.
Like, man, if this dude wasn't running for touchdowns, this man was throwing the ball in oncoming traffic. Like his highlight throws, I don't like. You can go back and watch. Like, okay, he has some good games, but most bad quarterbacks had some decent games. But when I tell you that this dude, when I tell you that this dude Jalen Milroe, like most of his highlights were underthrown balls that Ryan Williams, when he was good at football, made incredible plays.
Okay.
Other than that, this man's been some dookie. Like, okay, he can run the ball, but he's a quarterback. He's supposed to be like, this is what he's supposed to do. Down 80, saying, and he's supposed to throw the ball for a touchdown. And he threw the ball just for the other team's touchdown.
I do. So moving on to as far as head coaches go.
Okay.
The next guy on this list is Jeff Hafley, and I like Hafley.
I don't know if he's a person.
Well, I don't know. We'll see. It's hard to say. He was the head coach at Boston College and did pretty well there. So,
that's Boston College.
I know it's Boston College, but at the same time, like if you can do well with Boston College, then you can probably do well in a lot of places. But you're right. You're also right to say that it was college and not the NFL. And just because you're a good college coach,
Nick Saban was the best college head coach of all time. He goes to Miami and he shits the bed.
Yes, but here's the difference. Nick Saban, best college coach of all time. Now, to be fair, before he went to Miami, I don't know if too many people were calling him the best college coach of all time.
He was a pretty good coach when he went to Miami.
He was a pretty good coach when he went to Miami, but he wasn't like it wasn't the same as like Nick Saban in Alabama.
I understand, but like
here's the difference between him and Hafley. Hafley did a good job with Boston College, then came to the NFL, and and he's he's been the Packers defensive coordinator for the last 2 years, and he's done a pretty solid job with them, especially considering the fact that they lost Micah Parsons, and the defense was still like, I mean, honestly, that defense, like, that defense more or less, it's hard to say that the defense deserved to beat the Bills or the Bears. It's hard to say the defense deserved to beat the Bears when they couldn't get it done at the end of the game. As the number of times I've gone through that with the Bengals defense when like they started good and then they didn't finish at the end of the game. It's hard to say that it's hard to really say like is the Packers defense really worth being like this is my highlight reel. But at the same time, I will say losing Micah Parsons and the defense still being fairly competitive. And bringing the Packers all the way to the playoffs. Now I know the offense was good, and then they completely turned off against the Bears. And it's not the first blown lead they had all year, but at the same time, I think Jeff Hafley proved himself to be competent at the NFL level. He's got 2 years of he got 2 years of coordinator experience, and he's already been a head coach. I don't think being a college head coach means that you are going to be a good NFL head coach, but I do think it's quality experience to have, and it's better to have it than to not have it. So, I mean, like, honestly, out of this list, like, there's several guys, if we're talking about, like, available head coaching options, like, Jeff Hafley's at least in my top 3.
What about Brian Flores? Do we think he might get another opportunity?
Not this year. I think he will eventually, especially if the Vikings, if he keeps putting up results with the units he's coaching. But I don't think that he's going to get a head coaching job this year. I don't.
Unless he's like the one defensive coach. He's the one defensive coach where I'm like, okay, he'd probably be one of my top choices.
I would not be, well, I was going to say I wouldn't be shocked if the Steelers got Flores. The more I think about it,
Steelers did interview him.
Yeah, it's just the more I think about it, the more I don't really think that that's the best fit for like the direction that the Steelers kind of want to go with their team. Then again, maybe it is because like the Steelers, I mean, like, I think Urinating Tree makes a lot of good points about the Steelers front office. They're kind of stuck in the past. And so going and getting a guy like Brian Flores might actually make sense for them. Like not make sense as far as like it would be good for them, but make sense as far as like what they're likely to do.
I mean, yeah, and also here's two reasons why I think he's probably, in my opinion, the most likely to get that Steelers job. One, he's a defensive coach, and most of the Steelers coaches have all been defensive coaches. And two, Brian Flores was in Pittsburgh once upon a time, so hey, why not run it back?
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that like his tenure in Pittsburgh was exactly like legendary material. Like, I mean, it wasn't bad, but
I mean, no, but like, I mean, we can say that for almost every good coach that they weren't legendary when they were at the team. But like, I mean, there's only like a couple guys that were legendary. Like Bill Belichick had a legendary run, and the dude in what's his name? The dude that was coaching the Cowboys in the '90s. Yeah, they went on a legendary run. But like, I mean, Sean Payton, he was a pretty good coach for the Saints, but it wasn't legendary. And Don Shula had like the only undefeated season ever, but it wasn't a legendary run.
Okay. So, listen. You're going way too deep with some of this shit. Like, what I'm saying is Brian Flores can't hold a candle to Sean Payton with the Saints or Bob or the Elder Shula. Whatever. Like Brian Flores could be a good head coach in the right situation, but I don't feel that. I don't know. I'm honestly I'm a lot lower on Brian Flores than most people are. I'm not the biggest fan, to be honest with you. Like, I didn't really I mean, yeah, he had that 1-10-7 season with Miami, and everybody's like, oh, Brian Flores. But I'll be honest with you, like, a lot of the reason why the Dolphins kind of flamed out was because of Brian Flores. Like Brian Flores did not like his job was developed to develop Tua, and he didn't do that at all.
He didn't want Tua.
It doesn't matter. You got to coach the guy you have. Like, that's my issue. My issue is he's not like thinking about the success of the team. He's thinking about his own resume.
I mean, I understand, but like you also got to think about it like this. He personally, I think he wanted to. Obviously, look, it's been known he wanted Justin Herbert, and that probably would have been, no matter how you feel about him, he's definitely better than Tua. However, he was not motivated to coach Tua, mainly because Tua at the time, you probably argue. I mean, we don't look. I'm not going to pretend like I know what happened in practice every single day, but I mean, the tension there was just I don't know, something just was off. And Tua said how Brian Flores is a terrible person. Flores said some stuff about Tua. So like that was just a toxic relationship. So I think personally there, it's like, and I understand most of that is on Flores, but I feel like, most of that stuff, I think he's going to try to leave in the past. And I think he's going to try to start a new chapter with whoever he's coaching, whether that's Steelers, whether that's freaking Arizona or Atlanta or whoever.
I mean, I agree with that obviously he's going to try to put that in the past. What I'm saying is I don't know how, I mean, I'll give him a shot for sure, but I don't like the way that he handled the Dolphins situation. I thought he needed to be fired before people were talking about him getting fired. And the whole situation ended up being really sketchy, and I don't necessarily endorse everything that happened in that situation, but I've been very critical of Brian Flores for a while. I didn't feel like he had the team's best interest in mind most of the time, and when you have selfish coaches, you tend to not get the best results. Look at Urban Meyer.
Yeah, that's another point where it's like, and look, I'm not saying, look, and I even said Flores deserved a lot of that blame. I mean, when you're just basically berating on Tua, but something I also came to realize, some people coach differently. Like some people is like lovey-dovey on the players, and some people go like extremely critical on the players. Now I will say I do agree with going hard on them, but I don't at the same time. Like you can be hard on them, but don't like, for example, like kick like Urban Meyer did, and don't like say that you suck every time you make a bad play, which is what Brian Flores was doing. But that's like I think. I mean, I don't know. I personally think Flores, has matured since then because I've seen him talk. I have yet to hear him Glenn talk, but I've heard Brian Flores a couple times, and he sounds like he was really like not proud of those moments. So I think personally, I think if he is, and I think he will. Honestly, I think he will get hired at some point during this offseason cycle personally because a lot of teams are calling about him, and they wouldn't be doing that for no reason at all. But yeah, so I think Brian Flores could be a fine head coach, and he wasn't a bad coach in Miami. He was just like a guy that he wasn't like a leader. That was the problem.
You have to be as a head coach.
I know.
And look, I know he's getting a lot of interest, and I'm not saying he's not going to get a job by any means. I'm just saying I'm not like I wouldn't hire him. I don't know if I'd hire him to be a coordinator, to be honest with you.
No, okay. Now that he is one of the best defensive coordinators in the league.
He is okay. I will admit he is a really good defensive coordinator. But it's not just about whether you're good at your individual job. It's about the team. It's about the fit. Like maybe he's one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL, but like. How'd that work out for the Steelers? How'd that work out for the Vikings?
The Vikings last year had one of the best defenses in the league under Flores.
Yeah, and where'd that get them?
That got the 14 wins.
And then what'd they do in the playoffs? They got smoked the second they got there. Same with the Steelers.
Well, the Steelers was more Mike Tomlin.
I don't look.
Like Mike Tomlin.
So here's my biggest criticism of Mike Tomlin. It's a similar criticism of Brian Flores, which makes sense why they get along. But here's my biggest issue with Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin is, and this is a good thing about him. I'll say a good thing about him, then I'll explain where he falls short as well. But like Mike Tomlin is very much like he's a player's coach. The players love him and will die for him, and that's part of why he was able to be so successful as far as like not having a losing season with the Steelers, with a team that generally is run fairly well, but a team that generally has a front office that tends to run things pretty well. And Mike Tomlin, basically all he needs to do is take his guys and motivate them to, be at their best more often than not. And that is more or less what's kind of happened with the Steelers. And that's why he's had, all winning seasons and, and frankly, not a lot to show for it other than the one Super Bowl that he won, which a lot of people have made the argument for, and I have made the argument for, was Bill Cowher's team. Not really so much something that you can really like. I mean, obviously, winning a Super Bowl, coaching a team throughout a whole season and then winning a Super Bowl at the end is a big accomplishment. You can't say that it's not, but that was like it is kind of suspect that happened once, and then ever since then it's been like a lot of mediocrity.
Yeah, I mean Mike Tomlin. I think Mike Tomlin got like. I mean, a lot of people say Mike Tomlin's only focusing in on wins. Now I think that's just people playing a joke because like you're not going to coach a season just to get 9 wins. Like, yeah, maybe maybe Mike Tomlin in his head was like, man, getting another win season would be cool. But I'm not saying, I don't think him getting another win season is like, okay, I'm just giving up. I don't think that was the case. I just think he, like, by the end of the season, like, TJ Watt was missing some games. Aaron Rodgers wasn't the early Rodgers. So I think, a lot of people with the winning record, I think Mike Tomlin personally got a lot of more hate than he really warranted at that point. But it's like, I understand if you're not winning playoff games, so what's the point of even playing the games at that point? But yeah, I just think,
Right. So obviously there's a lot of differing opinions on all these guys, but we do have to move on. So next on the list is and I don't understand. You're going to have to explain this one to me, and I'm not sure you're going to be able to. But why is Matt Nagy still considered to be a top head coaching option? Like, did you see the Chiefs this year? Did you see what he did with the Bears? He's terrible.
Okay, I will say this as well.
I love the hesitation in your voice.
I also don't think Matt Nagy was that terrible, but I don't think he should be a head coach. That's like, I think he did bring the Bears to the playoffs twice, but he also did nothing upon that. So that's where I'm lenient with it. It's like, once again, same thing with Tomlin, even though Mike Tomlin is way better than that. And when I say way better, I mean like way better. But I don't think I don't think he's a good coach. But I will say he got a lot more hate than he also relatively deserved as well. Because it's like, the man got the Bears to the playoffs twice in like a 4-year span. And he had Mitch Trubisky. I think he even won Coach of the Year, I think, the first time. I think. I could be wrong there, but I think he won it. And he had Mitch Trubisky playing at an MVP sort of level. So I don't think the Bears, or I don't think Nagy was that terrible with Chicago.
He's pretty terrible with Chicago. Like,
he was bad, like, towards the end, but I don't think he was like a terrible coach from the jump.
Look, I just want to point out, Mitch Trubisky has continued to be in the NFL and been a fairly reliable backup for the Bills. When Mitch Trubisky comes in, it's not like the end of the world. Now, obviously, it's nothing nearly close to Josh Allen. But, Mitch Trubisky was once one of the more, promising prospects coming into the NFL. And I'm not saying that he was ever going to be like a top 10 quarterback or anything like that. I think in the right situation, maybe things could have gone a lot differently for him. But the fact that Mitch Trubisky was at one point playing at a MVP level for the Bears only says to me that Matt Nagy completely and utterly and totally fumbled and absolutely fumbled the absolute ever-loving hell of the opportunity that he had to be the Chicago Bears head coach. Now, was everything, perfectly going his way? Was everything handed to him on a silver platter like, some coaches get with some teams? No. But Matt Nagy was a god-awful head coach for the Chicago Bears. And I don't understand why he's thought of so highly. I really don't. Because, Eric Bieniemy was the one who built that Kansas City Chiefs offense, not Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy was the guy before the Chiefs offense really took off. So I've never understood why Matt Nagy and then Matt Nagy comes back to the Chiefs and their offense falls apart. So I've never understood how Matt Nagy is so highly thought of from a results perspective. Like maybe he's a nice guy and people like him. Cool. What's your record, bro? What's that resume looking like? For Matt Nagy, it's about as bad as it can be.
There's some worse coaches than Nagy.
He's one of the worst ones out there right now, I feel.
I mean, not in terms of like twice.
Huh?
Not a lot of coaches can say that they made the playoffs twice. And won Coach of the Year.
Did he win Coach of the Year with the Bears?
Yeah.
That's awful.
Well, I don't vote for the damn thing.
I'm not saying you did. I'm not mad at you. I'm just like, how on earth? You know what? Whatever. Fine. You know, Titans. Sounds like the Titans kind of like Matt Nagy. All right, Titans, go ahead. Give it a shot. See what happens. It's not going to work in your favor. I promise you that.
And I'm not saying it will. Like,
the worst possible thing you could do for Cam Ward's development, because it's looking like he's kind of come on a little bit at the end of the season. The worst thing you could do for his development is pair him with a coach like Matt Nagy.
I don't know. They're the ones talking to Jason Garrett.
Jason Garrett would be a better option than Matt Nagy. Now I'm gonna yeah, that's a good point. I'm gonna pump the brakes a little bit because Jason Garrett hasn't coached for a very long time. To be fair,
He's got some coaching under his belt the past few years. He's got something to work with.
Yeah, like Matt Nagy at the very least has been coaching, but he hasn't been coaching well.
I'm not saying yes, but like I don't think Nagy would be the worst option. I think the Titans could do. Like, I think they could win 5 games next year if they hire Nagy.
I think if the Titans. Okay.
I think they could win 5 games.
All right, pause for a minute. For a minute, just stop and think about what you're doing. Okay. Chiefs fans would throw a party if Matt Nagy got hired as a head coach somewhere.
Good for them.
Think about that.
Well, where's the party at?
If the Packers did what a lot of their fans want them to do, which they're not going to do, and fired Matt LaFleur, and then they hired Matt Nagy to be his replacement, Bears fans would throw a fucking block party.
Which block?
I don't know. Plenty of nice blocks in Chicago.
Okay.
They got this. They got this one restaurant in Chicago that's all they do is churros, and it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life.
Oh man,
I love it. I don't get up there too often, but I got a buddy who lives in Chicago, and whenever I go visit him, I'm like, "Where's the churro place?"
Oh,
all right, next on this list, which I understand more than Chris Shula. Well, okay, I understand a lot more than I understand Matt Nagy. I understand more than I understand. Well, I don't know. I understand what people see in Brian Flores. I personally disagree. And I'm skeptical about Chris Shula for reasons that aren't really provable. So I'm not gonna harp too much on Chris Shula. Like, we'll see what happens. I smell nepotism when it comes to Chris Shula. But the next guy on this list, like, I don't know about this. Like, there's only a couple situations where I could see him doing well, but he's getting a lot of buzz, and that's Joe Brady.
That's another guy where it's like, a lot of Buffalo fans wanted him fired earlier in the year. So
that's what I'm saying. Like, he didn't do well with the Panthers. A lot of Buffalo fans want him fired. The only reason anybody knows who he is because of that 2019 LSU team, and I think at this point it's pretty clear that was the talent, not the coaching. I mean, Ed Orgeron got fucking fired. Now that wasn't because of coaching issues, but
that had nothing. I mean, LSU definitely was not performing well, but there was like a lot of off the field issues that led to him being fired. But,
I'm just saying, like, Joe Brady. I don't really see a lot. Like, I feel like oddly enough, as much as I'm expressing a lot of skepticism about it, I feel like Joe Brady would actually work really well in Cincinnati. Just because he already has a really strong pre-existing relationship with the two most important players on our team. I feel like Joe Brady could work in Cincinnati, but I feel like and Minnesota would be another place where I think he'd work out maybe decently. They need a better quarterback, but Yeah,
Hey,
there's
why
a
don't
couple
they
of
trade for Joe Burrow? I mean, if Joe Brady goes to Minnesota, they could just trade for Joe Burrow, so they could be back together. And they could maybe even trade for Jamar Chase, so they get the 3 back.
yeah. Well, okay, so like, listen. I want to make something very clear. Like first of all, I love Jamar Chase. Love Jamar Chase. It would make me very sad if the Bengals lost Jamar Chase. But like, if the Bengals traded Joe Burrow, if the Bengals did anything if Joe Burrow does not retire as a Cincinnati Bengal, unless we win a Super Bowl. If we win a Super Bowl, I don't really kind of give a fuck what happens after that. But if Joe Burrow does not retire as a Cincinnati Bengal and we didn't win a Super Bowl, then I'm going to lose my fucking mind. Like I don't there's no price that is worth Joe Burrow. And I'm pretty sure the Bengals front office feels that way too. So it kind of doesn't really matter. The only thing that could happen, and this isn't going to happen because it's like Joe Burrow's literally never said anything like this before, despite all the the clickbait garbage you might have seen on your like social media feed. None of it's true. Joe Burrow has never expressed any sort of desire to get out of Cincinnati or anything like that. Whenever he does actually talk about it, he pretty much exclusively expresses, and he's a very honest guy. He's not the type of guy that like talks indirectly and you got to read between the lines of what he's saying. He's very direct and very honest guy. And he enjoys being this team's quarterback. He enjoys everything about what his life is right now. So he's not going to push his way out. I don't see the Bengals wanting him to go. So if they traded him, I don't know what I would fucking do. Like, as I've said many times before, as long as this team remains in Cincinnati and they just signed a new stadium deal, so it's like that's going to, that's going to be indefinitely into the future. As long as this team stays in Cincinnati, I can never not be a Cincinnati Bengals fan. It just wouldn't be possible. But if they traded Joe Burrow, oh boy, you would see the fury come out. Like that would not be something I could just accept.
Don't worry, I'll get my popcorn ready for whenever it happens.
Well, it's not going to happen.
You say that now.
Okay, so moving on. We got Robert Saleh, who I actually, I know there's a lot of skepticism around Robert Saleh, but I like Saleh. I think he is, when he gets a team that isn't the fucking Jets, I think Saleh is going to show. It's like with Aaron Glenn. I think Aaron Glenn's going to be a good head coach somewhere.
I don't.
But the Jets is just a terrible situation. Like the Jets might be the Jets aren't the worst situation to be in the NFL because the Cleveland Browns exist. Other than that, the Jets are the worst.
No, don't forget Atlanta exists.
Atlanta's a way better situation to be in with the.
Absolutely
I mean,
not.
the biggest issue with Atlanta is they're fucking cursed.
Exactly.
Which is
They're
insane,
cursed.
but like curses aren't actually real. So like at some point something's got to change with Atlanta. I don't know when or what, but
Atlanta will suck forever and they will like it.
Atlanta is better, has a better front office.
No, they don't.
Than the Jets and the Browns do, and it's not even close.
I would take the Jets and the Browns front office in a heartbeat, bro.
You're insane.
No, I'm not.
I mean, I get that you're a hater, but you're still insane.
I wake up extra early to be a hater.
I know you do. Jesse Mentor is an interesting. Now I know these last two guys are probably, frankly, my favorite two guys on this list. But all of the guys I like on this list are defensive coordinators. But Jesse Mentor's another good one. The first guy I see on here that I like as an offensive guy is Clint Kubiak.
Yeah, and I can attest that Clint Kubiak, he's going to be a fine head coach.
Kevin Stefanski's another offensive guy who I like. I think he did a phenomenal job with the Browns, and the Browns just gave him the worst. Look, there's whatever the hell the Jets are, and then there's the Cleveland Browns. Like the levels of just insane incompetence and just like the way that you talk about the Falcons is the way the Browns actually are. Like this is the most insanely incompetently run franchise I've ever seen in my entire life, and I love the fact that they're one of our rivals because we'll never be that bad. But good Lord, like Kevin Stefanski was a good coach, and I was actually worried when the Browns hired him because I'm like, oh God, that's actually like that's one of the that's a different type of thing than the Browns normally do is bring in a guy like Kevin Stefanski, and he's like the perfect guy to get this team on the right track. And here's the thing: the Browns did get on the right track, and then they traded for Deshaun fucking Watson. And like we can't do anything at that point. The second the Browns traded for Deshaun Watson, Kevin Stefanski was a dead man walking. There was no hope at that point. It was over.
Wait, didn't Stefanski make the playoffs twice and also win Coach of the Year?
Yeah, with the Browns. With
Just
Cleveland Browns.
Just wonder.
Okay, listen.
Okay. Okay.
Listen. The Bears have their issues, but they are not the Cleveland Browns. Okay, I don't think. What's the worst sports franchise you can think of? And don't fucking say Atlanta. Be objective for a second.
The Pelicans.
Really? They that bad?
Yeah.
Are they run that poorly?
Bro, we traded away our first round pick this year.
I don't pay attention to the NBA.
I mean, well, them, probably be on what's it called? I don't know. The only sports I watch is football, basketball. The Lakers front office, they're terrible. Like they're like LeBron. Like LeBron's the entire thing. They're like you do everything by the book, but they're just stupid. Like they are hindering themselves with a 42-year-old man. So they are stupid.
That's a recent development, though. Like the Lakers are a storied, historic franchise. Like that's like saying the Steelers have a terrible front office, which you could make the argument, but like historically, that's not the case. So, like, yeah, I mean, here's the thing about the Browns. The Browns are like if you combined all of the worst parts of the Bengals front office, and then added in all of the worst parts of the Steelers front office, like all of the over reliance on tradition and the being stuck up your own ass and it's et cetera, like all of the parts about the Steelers front office that are actually really bad. Take all of those parts and then combine them with all of the bad parts about the Bengals front office, and then also give them like way more money than the Bengals, like way more actual like money. Like Jimmy Haslam has way more money than the Brown family has and the Blackburns have. So, I mean, he still has to deal with the salary cap. But Jimmy Haslam, if Mike Brown and Jimmy Haslam were to go own baseball teams, Jimmy Haslam would most likely be able to field a very good baseball team on a regular basis, and Mike Brown would be out of the league in like 2 years because he doesn't really have any fucking money. He's got his only source of income, as I understand, it's the Bengals.
Oh, wow.
Which is a better source of income than I got. But at the same time, Mike Brown's also got to pay people a hell of a lot more than I got to pay people.
Oh, wow.
And I believe when Joe Burrow's extension was due, when it was time to pay Joe Burrow, Mike Brown had to sell the naming rights of the stadium just to be able to pay, like, have enough in escrow to pay Joe Burrow's contract.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's yeah. So I mean, like the salary cap makes a lot more things equal than a lot of other than some sports. Don't get me wrong; like things are a lot more equalized in the NFL because of the salary cap. But there's still a difference between being the Denver Broncos, where your owner is Walmart and you have Walmart money, and then being the Cincinnati Bengals, where your owner is a billionaire because of net worth, but in terms of like liquid cash, probably, you know, other than like the insane amount of liquid cash you can get by like selling like, you know, sponsorship deals and stuff like that. But in terms of just like, you know, the amount of like wealth you have on hand at any given time, that's just like your natural wealth, like bottom line for the Brown family, it's probably, you know, not even really comparable to some of the other richest families, even in this city. You know, not even like, you know, like the people who own P&G, you know, the biggest company in Cincinnati, Procter and Gamble.
Oh wow.
Their wealth, like their wealth on hand, their liquid wealth and ability to spend whatever they have is light years ahead of the Bengals. And the salary cap is a thing, but I do think sometimes part of the issue we run into is the fact that the Bengals just don't have any fucking money.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So, Arthur Smith is on this list. Dude, it is just a terrible year for head coaching options. Like Arthur Smith and Vance Joseph. And like it's at the point where I'm looking at this list and I'm like, oh, you know what? I kind of see the point with Chris Shula. Like I smell nepotism and I'm worried about it, but like I'm looking at the rest of this list and I'm like, Chris Shula is probably a top 3 option for sure. Like, I mean, I really like Jeff Hafley, but mostly because of compared to the rest of the competition. There's not like honestly, if I'm like, and obviously I know like Bengals fans wouldn't be too happy about this because, you know, obviously we just did to go get Zach Taylor. But like, if I'm looking for a head coach this year, I'm taking a shot on a young guy, like a young unproven guy. We're not completely unproven, proven enough to give him a head coaching job, but like maybe a guy who isn't like, you know, like one of like the big mega names or something like that. You know, like take a shot on a guy who's like, you know, really smart and people, you know, say a lot of good things about, and you know, maybe the results haven't always been there as far as the resume goes. But you know, you're taking a shot on a guy just to kind of see what happens. This is the year to do it because all of the experienced guys, like I don't believe in any of them. Like I mean, the one that I believe in the most is Robert Saleh, but I also like I can see where some people would maybe be a little skeptical of Robert Saleh as well. But like nobody else inspires me. This is a terrible year to need a head coach unless you're the Giants and you get Harbaugh. But even Harbaugh is like, you know, old. Like the game might have passed him by at this point.
I already know who Atlanta's going to hire to be their head coach.
What if it was Arthur Smith?
First of all, that would be funny. But the guy I was going to say, Dennis Allen.
They're not going to hire Dennis Allen to be there.
Yeah, if they hire Dennis Allen, bro, that would be so funny.
Or, don't kill me, but what if they hire Dennis Allen and then they're really good?
I will take your guts. Or what if they hire Dennis Allen to be head coach and Arthur Smith as the offensive coordinator?
You really hate the Falcons, don't you?
Oh, I do. Like every single day when I wake up, I'm like, man, please, Lord, let Atlanta be something stupid today.
Because I feel it. I'm thinking like, wouldn't it be awesome if, like, for example, the Steelers fired Mike Tomlin, but they kept Arthur Smith as their offense? Oh wait, they already did that.
Like, I am an Atlanta hater. You could probably argue I'm an Atlanta hater more than I'm a Saints fan.
I think I've like said that sort of about me with the Steelers, but like the more I think about it, like it's just not true. Like, you know, I don't always like the Bengals, but I do love the Bengals.
Oh, I love the Saints. I can't help it. I love the Saints too, but I hate Atlanta just as much.
It's
weird. I used to not even hate Atlanta. I used to not even hate Atlanta like that.
Which is weird because, like, you've come to, if you didn't used to hate Atlanta like that, it's weird that you've come to hate them so much when they're not really a threat.
Exactly. I just grew into it.
That's so weird. Like I don't think I've ever developed a disliking for another team if they didn't give me a reason to do that.
I mean, I remember even recent, like, I mean, my first year actually hating Atlanta was probably like 2020 because I never liked Atlanta. Don't get me wrong. Like, I wasn't waking up being like, let's go Atlanta. I hope they did something good. But I was like, oh, Atlanta won? All right. But now it's like, oh, yeah, if Atlanta wins, my entire day's ruined if the Saints don't win.
So, based off of what you said, are you saying you would rather see Atlanta lose than the Saints win?
Oh, no. But if the Saints lose, I need Atlanta to lose with us. It cannot be one or the other.
Well, right. So I feel that way about the Steelers. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if you actually hate Atlanta more than you like the Saints, because that would mean that your preference out of the two would be that the Falcons lose rather than the Saints win. Like,
that was just me just talking. But no, like, generally, if the Saints lose, Atlanta better lose too. And if the Saints win, Atlanta wins. Okay, well, at least we won. Man.
See, I'm not even like quite there with it. Like for me, like if the Bengals win, the Steelers still better fucking lose, because if the Bengals win and then the Steelers win, I'm gonna be happy, but like I'm not gonna be as happy as I would have been, you know.
I mean, yeah, that's another point. I mean, I remember what was it? I think it was 20. What year was it? I think it was 2019. When the Saints were actually a competent football organization. I remember that we played Atlanta on Thanksgiving night, and I remember Shy Tuttle gave this dude Matt Ryan a face full of turkey, and that began like that moment. When that moment happened, I was like, "Oh damn!" And then for whatever reason, I started hating Atlanta after that.
I don't understand. Like, why? Why is the face full of turkey?
Because it was like when he threw that stiff arm, and then like, because I was with my dad at the time, and he was talking to me about like how much we hate Atlanta, and then when I saw the stiff arm, I was like, oh yeah, Atlanta, they were just a dumb franchise, and then that's when I started, and I was like, oh shoot, yeah, I mean, imagine being an Atlanta fan, right? Because I had a bus driver who went to that game too, so I was like, oh yeah, like, and then seeing them yell at my poor bus driver, I was like, yep, Atlanta's definitely going on the naughty list. And ever since then, I made an oath to always hate Atlanta, no matter what.
Okay.
So that's my life story.
That's a beautiful story, Mikey. I'm glad you told me. So let's talk about because this was kind of the whole point of why we got on the subject in the first place. Who is going to get these head coaching vacancies then? With you said it. Who did you say Atlanta you think is going to hire?
That is it.
Okay, who do you think they're actually going to hire though?
Okay. Honestly, who's out there? I think they're going after either Chris Shula or Antonio Pierce.
I would have thought, like, it feels like they would have really fought hard for Harbaugh, and they didn't get him.
They did. They did fight hard.
So, if that tells you anything about Atlanta.
That because nobody wanted to go there.
Yeah.
How about you, brother?
Considering who they've hired in the past, it seems like they really place a premium on experience.
It's important though, because they don't, for whatever reason, the Atlanta front office, they never go after experienced head coaches. They go after experienced coordinators.
Right, but they go after guys. Well, Raheem Morris was a former head coach.
Yeah, and then he got fired, and then he went to the DC job. He was actually the head coach for the Falcons, and then went to the Rams to be their defensive coordinator, and then went back to Atlanta to be their head coach again.
So, Mikey,
but
you know who would make the most sense on this list of guys who are available?
Arthur Smith.
No. Well, actually, yes, but they're not going to rehire him.
But
Matt Nagy. I'm so like that. Like it fits like a glove when you think about it.
yeah,
Although to be honest with you, Robert Saleh would also fit. Like that philosophy. Vance Joseph is another guy. And honestly, out of those three names I just mentioned, Vance Joseph kind of like feels like if he really is being considered like a hot head coaching candidate, which like I don't understand, but I see it. I see a lot of people are saying it, so it must be true. So I mean, like I don't know, Vance Joseph kind of feels like he's going to be the next Falcons head coach to me. That'd be my prediction.
I think Joseph's going to Arizona.
Well, I think he's going to Atlanta.
I think you're wrong.
Okay. The Ravens. Who the Ravens going to hire?
Ravens. I feel. I don't know why, but I'm getting this Mike McCarthy feel for Baltimore.
Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
What?
Teams are talking to him.
Are they really?
Yeah. I know the Titans were, and I think the Ravens were interested at one point.
Huh.
Mike McCarthy, I think, is the guy.
I don't think the Ravens are going to hire Mike McCarthy.
I don't know why. I've been feeling like Mike McCarthy, I think, is probably like the best fit in Baltimore because I feel like, Ravens usually go after guys with experience. I mean, I know they haven't had to go after one in 18 damn years, but I feel like, the Ravens, I don't know. I feel like the Ravens are kind of like the Steelers where they just go after guys that have been proven to be successful.
Do they? Was John Harbaugh proven to be successful prior to this? What?
I'm talking on my ass right now. I don't know what the Ravens do for a living.
So the Ravens have had 3 head coaches. There was John Harbaugh, who was like kind of a relatively unknown guy who was like previously with the Eagles. He was mainly a special teams guy. He was not proven. No, he wasn't. Like, I mean, like the closest he ever got to doing anything was like, helping that Eagles team get to the Super Bowl with and then lose to Tom Brady.
But that's an honor. You don't lose to Tom Brady.
That's not the same thing as being a proven guy.
Yes.
Prior to that, they hired Brian Billick, who had been like he'd been with the Vikings for like a decade, but I wouldn't say he definitely wasn't a proven like Mike McCarthy type of guy. He was a guy who had been like he'd been the Vikings offensive coordinator for like half a decade or something, I think, at that point. And prior to that, he was like an assistant coach, and then he was in college before that. But like, I mean, the Ravens, I forget where Ted Marchibroda, their first head coach, Ted Marchibroda.
I mean, although that was proven to be so terrible, and yet McNeil is still hired this.
Technically, I think Bill Belichick was the Ravens' first head coach by like technicality, like because he was the Browns' head coach, and I think he got fired after the move.
Yeah,
or at least after they announced it.
Yeah, I think Bill Belichick was hired in 1941.
It's not true, but okay. I guess Ted. Okay, so I'm looking it up here. Ted Marchibroda, I guess, was a well-established coach when the Ravens hired him. To be fair, but like, do you know who Ted Marchibroda is? I do, but do you?
No.
Exactly. Like, Ted Marchibroda is like not like he's the first. Like Ted Marchibroda, as far as like Ravens head coaches goes, he's the one who'd be like the closest to like a Mike McCarthy type because he was the head coach of the Baltimore Colts, and then later the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts after like a 30-year hiatus. It was weird. And then he ended up being the Ravens coach. So like he was the Baltimore Colts head coach. I think when they went to the Super Bowl, like in the early, no, because that was like the 70s. So I don't know if that would have been when they went to the Super Bowl. But yeah, he was the Baltimore Colts head coach in like the 70s. And then he wasn't a head coach for a while. And then he came back to be the Indianapolis Colts head coach for like 3 years, and that didn't work out. And then he went back to Baltimore to be the Ravens head coach. So he had an interesting career, but he's definitely like the most like Mike McCarthy of the bunch. But they haven't like Brian Billick and John Harbaugh definitely were not Mike McCarthy types. So I mean, like that doesn't feel like the move that the Ravens would make to me. And partially, as much as I hate to admit it, like the Ravens have a very smart front office. So I don't think they would make a dumb move like that. I think they'd probably make a good move. They're probably going to go get a guy who is good because their front office is good. Honestly, like my like if I'm just taking a stab at it, I feel like Jeff Hafley would be like probably the type of guy they go for. Maybe see them going for Joe Brady, or actually no, Clint Kubiak. Clint Kubiak feels like if they go with an offensive guy, they're going to go with Clint Kubiak. If they go with a defensive guy, I think it'll be Jeff Hafley.
Oh wow!
There's a lot of buzz about Kevin Stefanski, but I don't really see the fit with Kevin Stefanski. I don't think that makes as much sense as people are trying to make it out to be.
Okay.
The Browns. Woof. Who's the worst option you can think of? You know what? Mike McCarthy makes sense for the Browns.
I think the Browns.
Who's a guy who makes no sense to be a head coach?
Matt Nagy.
Matt Nagy. There you go. They're gonna hire Matt Nagy.
I genuinely think that they are.
Tim Tebow. That's who they're gonna hire.
Dennis Allen. That's who they're gonna hire.
Billie Eilish.
Ed Sheeran.
I think Ed Sheeran would make more sense than Billie Eilish. Ed Sheeran's a big guy, right?
He's kind of slim, but yeah, he's pretty big.
Well, but he's like fit, but he's stocky. Like he's got big bones, even though he's not like he doesn't have like he exercises and he's trim, but he's still got a big frame. What?
Yes.
Okay. So like Billie Eilish, on the other hand, is a tiny human. So
she is tiny. She knows how to sing, but she is pretty tiny.
Yeah. So that has nothing to do with being a head coach, though. Not that Ed Sheeran has anything to do with football, but I'm just saying out of the two, like at least he'd probably be able to relate to the players a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, what Billie Eilish going to do? Sing them a lullaby? Whenever they're losing?
That might be better for the Browns than what they're probably going to hire.
Like,
I wouldn't be, look. If it weren't for the fact that he's so reviled right now, I would not be shocked if they hired Urban Meyer. That's how stupid this front office is. I'm not kidding when I say that this is the dumbest fucking front office, and Browns fans will agree with me. I don't know anybody who disagrees with me. The Browns are just a complete train wreck. But who are they actually going to hire out of because they're going to pick somebody from the pool. They're going to probably pick somebody who's like a big, name that's all interesting and shit. But it's going to be a terrible fit and it's not going to work out at all. So like, I don't know, Joe Brady, honestly, kind of comes to mind.
I think that they're going to hire, what's his name? The dude from Green Bay. What's his name?
Hafley?
Yeah, him.
I don't see that. It feels like too because they're gonna get somebody who's not Kevin Stefanski, and Jeff Hafley feels too close to Kevin Stefanski to me.
I mean, they hired. I mean, I don't know. It was either him or Matt Nagy for me. That's going to Cleveland. It's one or the other.
If they hired Matt Nagy,
would you call Thomas and you would have him on the show and then say, how do you feel about Matt Nagy?
I've tried to have Thomas on the show several times. Thomas has tried to come onto the show several times, and it just hasn't worked. So, I don't know, maybe.
Well, tell him to work.
That's his problem, is he works too much, I think.
Well, tell him to quit his job.
All right. Who else is needing of a head coach? The Raiders. I have no idea what the Raiders are going to do.
I thought they were going to get Harbaugh, to be honest, dude, but then he went to the freaking Giants.
That doesn't make any. Harbaugh on the Raiders doesn't make any sense to me at all. Not even
in the first place, but yeah, here we are.
Honestly, weirdly enough, Vance Joseph kind of feels like
no, Kevin Stefanski. I think they're going to hire Stefanski.
I don't see Stefanski going to Vegas.
I think he will. I think Mendoza's that enticing.
I first of all don't, and second of all, I don't. I just don't. I don't think Stefanski would be a good fit in Vegas, and I think Stefanski would see that before Vegas would see it.
No, I think they're going Stefanski.
Okay, all right. Arthur Smith kind of feels like a guy to me.
The Saints play the Raiders next season. Whew, I hope they hire Arthur Smith just for that one game.
I don't think that we play the Raiders next season, but yeah, Arthur Smith is a joke.
Man, Arthur Smith. Man, you remember that infamous Dennis Allen apology game?
Was that to Arthur Smith's team?
Yes.
Well, that's probably why he apologized, is because, Arthur Smith's daddy probably called him down. He's like, you apologize to my son right now, because Fred Smith is, you want to talk about nepotism, bro. Like, holy fuck. There's no reason that Arthur Smith, in any way, shape, or form, should be even associated with the NFL. But because his dad's a famous billionaire and pulling strings and, I've not once in my life have I ever understood how Arthur Smith is an NFL head coach. Like what has he ever done other than he lucked out and had Derrick Henry go insane with the Titans. But how did he even get that job? How did he even get the Titans job?
Kyle, you and I could have coached the Titans and just been like, give the ball to Derrick Henry. Give the ball to Derrick Henry.
In Arthur Smith's defense, do you remember that Derrick Henry almost was a bust?
He was.
Yeah, that almost happened.
But then he grew muscle, and he's like, man, screw you.
That's true. He was almost like Derrick Henry was basically almost another Eddie Lacy.
I mean, yeah, but there's a difference. Eddie Lacy, if you got pushed by Eddie Lacy, you weren't going to feel like you got hit by a freaking car.
You still might, because, depending on how fast he's running.
Bro, Derrick Henry, his one single arm is strong enough to lift 12 elephants, right?
Well, apparently it is now. The Dolphins. It feels like Chris Shula makes the most sense for the Dolphins, right?
No. I think they're going to hire Jeff Hafley, actually, because they hired the GM for Green Bay.
I have heard a lot of buzz. A buddy of mine who I talk to about football a lot is a Dolphins fan. He's been saying it sounds like they like Hafley. So probably Hafley's going to the Dolphins. You're probably right about that.
I think they're going to have him because also they hired the dude from Green Bay, and where's Hafley at? No.
Obviously the Giants we already know. We already talked about the Steelers. Did we talk about the Titans?
I don't think so.
We talked about how they're interviewing Matt Nagy, but I don't know. I feel like the Titans are an interesting team right now. They're interesting to think about what they might potentially do. So this is another one where I feel like Clint Kubiak might be the move for them.
Are you talking about Tennessee?
Tennessee, yeah.
I think Chris Shula could be an interesting guy for Tennessee.
I just don't think they're going to go with a defensive guy when they're trying to capitalize on Cam Ward.
I mean,
whether it's not about what you think they should do; it's about what you think they will do.
I mean, what they will do, they're going to hire Matt Nagy. That's what they will do.
I I don't think they're going to hire Matt Nagy. Like,
they're the one team showing 90% of the interest.
I don't know. We'll see.
We got Titans fans, bro. This is the same damn team that just interviewed Jason freaking Garrett. Titans don't give a shit.
It might be true. All right.
Honestly, I think you could probably make an argument the Titans front office might be dumber than Cleveland's. At least Cleveland's sticking it to guys that know how to coach a damn game. Jason Garrett hasn't coached since I was 11.
Okay, we can argue that, but anyway, let's talk about these wild card games, and then let's give our predictions for the divisional round, and then we can get out of here. So, I know you did too because you hate them, but like I really wanted to see the Panthers take down the Rams. Why? Because fuck you and chaos. Like that would have been so. Like now we've just got a geriatric Matt Stafford who's playing really well, to be fair, but like I don't know, man. I'm just tired of the Rams. Like, and this isn't even like, oh, they beat my team in the Super Bowl thing. This is just like boring. The Rams are boring.
They're boring and cheating.
The Panthers almost got it done.
But they're the Panthers.
They would have gotten smoked next week, but
absolutely.
Who would they have played next week? Because they would have played.
They're the 4 seed.
Yeah,
the
4 seed. So they would have played the 49ers.
Yeah, let me see. So the 49ers are the 6 seed. Well, no, the 49ers would have went to Seattle. So they would have played the Bears.
The Bears are the 2 seed.
Yeah. The Seahawks are the 1.
The Panthers are the 4 seed. The Bears are the 2 seed. They wouldn't have played each other next week.
But the 49ers are the 6 seed, and they beat the Eagles. So they would have went to Seattle. Since Seattle's the 1 seed, and the Packers lost. So Carolina would have went to Chicago.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay, I guess, yeah, you're right. You're right. They would have played the Bears next week. And that would have been an interesting game.
Mm-hmm.
Bears, Panthers would have been in it. Now we're getting, what are we getting next week? Bears, Niners?
No, we're getting Niners, Seahawks.
Okay, so we're getting Bears, Rams. Okay, so I feel like Bears, Panthers would have been a fascinating game to watch, just because between two teams that make no fucking sense.
What's funny is that both teams are responsible for each other having their quarterback. Panthers are responsible for Chicago having Caleb Williams. Bears are responsible for Carolina having Bryce Young. Ain't that funny?
That is interesting.
Because I don't know if you remember or not, but the Panthers traded up number 1. They actually traded DJ Moore to Chicago to get Mr. Bryce Young. And then the year after, that pick that they got from Carolina ended up being the number 1 overall pick that the Bears used for Caleb Williams. Crazy.
That's crazy.
Man, now I kind of wish we had Panthers Bears, but that would be a funny storyline.
Unfortunately, not, because the Panthers couldn't get it done. But the Bears did get it done against a insanely fraudulent Packers team. You remember when the Packers fans were like, like they were rightfully celebrating the team going and getting Micah Parsons because like your team made a big move and they're showing how like all in they are and stuff like that. And like I'm not gonna say the Packers shouldn't be like making moves like going for Micah Parsons and acting like they're a Super Bowl team and stuff like that. I mean, absolutely. If you feel you are, you should be making those types of moves. But at the same time, like I still find it funny that Packers fans like react to that. They're basically like, they're engraving their names on the Lombardi Trophy already. And frankly, the Packers with Micah Parsons, things were good, but there were also a lot of games where like Micah Parsons really didn't show up. And then he gets hurt, and then the Packers just have basically nothing. So it's like, were the Packers destined to be a terrible team this year until they got Micah Parsons?
I mean, maybe. I mean, the Packers have been the 7th seed for 3 years in a row.
Well, yeah, but it feels like this year, if they didn't get Micah Parsons, they wouldn't have even gotten the 7th seed.
I don't know.
Because, Micah Parsons, Like they look like Super Bowl contenders with Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons gets hurt and they stay above water enough to make the playoffs, but like they almost missed the playoffs too. Like they fell all the way off once Micah Parsons got hurt. And it's like if Micah Parsons doesn't end up in Green Bay in the first place, we might be talking about like a 5-6 win Packers team this year.
Yeah.
Oddly enough. Bills Jaguars. What a shame.
Man, that game was electric. I don't care how you feel about that game. That game was amazing.
Well, that game was amazing. Absolutely. It ended stupidly, but the game
absolutely.
itself was amazing.
I mean, Josh Allen literally got carried to the freaking end zone.
There was that too. Now that was kind of cool, just because it's something that doesn't happen a whole lot.
Dude was flying through the air on that tushy pushy.
Yeah, but I wanted to see the Jaguars win, but I also wanted to see a good game, and we did mostly get a good game. I just felt like the end was a little anticlimactic.
How do you feel about a lot of people shaming the reporter after the game?
It's mostly other reporters who are doing that, and they're just being like they're being prudes. That's all that is. What do I think? I don't think much about it. I think it's people who take their jobs too fucking seriously. Yeah, having a fight up there. That's all it is.
Yeah, I know it was a lot of reporters, but it's like, man, bro, they just lost a playoff game. Can somebody at least cheer them up? Like,
well, but that's also not what you do in a press conference. Like, you're supposed to keep it professional and et cetera, et cetera. And I get all that, but like I said, most of the people who are doing the criticizing are people who take themselves and their jobs way too fucking seriously.
Excuse me, Mr. Liam Cohen. I understand your team just lost a heartbreaking playoff game. So now can you please understand why are you the dumbest motherfucker that ever exists?
Well, they also don't. Well, the reporters also don't. If somebody did that, then they would also call them unprofessional for that. Like I think the whole point about the people who are doing the criticizing, they're saying that reporters are supposed to stay neutral. And yes, but y'all still have a stick up your asses and you take your jobs way too fucking seriously. And what's it even getting you? Like, I don't know. I think people need to like lighten up a little fucking bit, but I also don't really care that much.
Yeah.
49ers Eagles. You know what I think about this game?
Cry Eagles cry.
No, I don't think anything. I watched this game and I don't think there was a single thought kind of went through my head the whole time. I just kind of watched it. I'm like, oh, that game happened. So why don't you talk about it? Because I have no thoughts.
Okay, bet. Kevin Patullo is the dumbest stick man I've ever seen. And also, AJ Brown, how are you going to cry for the football? And then when the football finally reaches your hands, you can't catch the damn thing. Like AJ Brown.
That was kind of funny.
Like AJ Brown, he's out of there. Like you don't, and like he started like I understand Nick Sirianni like ran up to AJ Brown, but they started like yelling at each other. Like AJ Brown, they are gone. Like Eagles, there is a 0% chance AJ Brown, week 1 of the 2026 season will be an Eagle. There is 0% chance. That chemistry is ruined. I'm surprised they haven't traded him already. Like the thing,
they can't.
Well, no, I'm talking about before the trade deadline. I'm surprised they didn't make a move. I'm surprised they didn't trade away AJ Brown by the deadline. Because like even before the playoffs happened, like this man's made it objectively clear he did not like Philly, and Philly honestly probably doesn't even like him right now because it's like, how do you cry? And when I say cry, I mean I'm pretty sure he probably shed a few tears at this point because this man has made it objective. I don't care that we're winning games. Get me the ball, and we won't have problems. And then Jalen Hurts gets him the ball, and the only problem was that he dropped the damn thing. It was a crucial pass too.
I'll be honest with you. If somebody comes to the Bengals and does nothing but complain the whole fucking time, but also wins us a Super Bowl, I don't think I would hate him.
AJ Brown didn't win the Super Bowl though. Like yeah, he was on the Super Bowl winning team last year.
He was a big part of why they got there.
I mean, I understand. Like, look, AJ Brown, he's a good player and all, but like, What did? Okay, congratulations. You won a Super Bowl last year. What does that have anything to do with today?
That has everything to do with what?
What does that have to do with today?
What do you mean? What does it have to do with today? I mean, it doesn't have like. It's not to say that AJ Brown is like this guy who should stick around in Philly. I'm not saying Eagles fans should be begging for him to stay. What I am saying is like I wouldn't hate a guy if he won a Super Bowl for us.
I don't think they hate him. I just think that it's.
Oh, but that's like, what you were saying they should do.
That they should hate him?
Yeah.
Look, I don't. Look, okay, this is that. Okay, that's not. Okay, let's time out. What I'm saying is that I don't think that. Congratulations, you won a Super Bowl. A few teams in the league have never won a Super Bowl. So the fact that one player helped you win, congratulations.
The Eagles were one of those teams until Nick Foles went insane.
Yeah, but anyways, like I was saying, AJ Brown. This message goes to AJ Brown, who's definitely not watching the show, so I don't even know why I said that. But to AJ Brown, this dude, you cannot complain and cry for the ball when you, sir, are the reason. Like, are you the entire reason? No. But damn it, you're probably most of the reason why they lost. You know why? Because guess what? If you don't do all that freaking season drama, you're probably a 14-win team with the number 1 seed. But guess what? You're not. Because the entire team was distracted because of your chaos. Trying to make you happy. Like they won a game 31-0, and this dude's over here. Man, damn.
So let's move on to the Evil Empire allegedly being back. But I'm not going to lie, like, the Patriots didn't overly impress me against the Chargers. Like Justin Herbert is a fucking fraud. Like first of all, let's just get that out of the way. Justin Herbert's a gigantic fucking fraud, and that's all there is to it. And this talk about him being like, in the same boat as like Burrow and Mahomes and Allen is just like, it needs to stop. Like Justin Herbert's a fucking choke artist. And this was my biggest issue with him. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, he exceeded my expectations coming out of college because I thought he was going to be a bust. But a lot of the reason why I thought he was going to bust, a lot of the reason why I thought he was going to be a bust is because of what he's shown us in basically every big game he's ever played in.
Yeah, I think with Herbert, I mean, obviously, if you're the Chargers, I don't know if you move off of him yet, but
oh no, you don't move off of Justin Herbert. That's not what I'm saying. You could still win a Super Bowl with Justin Herbert, but you're not going to win a Super Bowl because of Justin Herbert, if that makes sense.
I think Justin Herbert's kind of like that Jalen Hurts type of boat, where it's like, he obviously he can win a Super Bowl, like we've seen him win a Super Bowl, but if you put Jalen Hurts on last year, if you put him on the Green Bay Packers, they're not winning that Super Bowl. If you put him on you could probably make even an argument maybe like the Washington Commanders or Detroit Lions are probably not winning the Super Bowl. But the Philadelphia Eagles were built for Jalen Hurts to win the Super Bowl that last year. However, Chargers with Justin Herbert, I mean, the Chargers, I'm not going to say that they haven't tried to build around Herbert, but like the lack of Quentin Johnson's developed into something that they could use. They brought back Keenan Allen, Lab McConkey. That white boy is so talented, but other than that, who else do they have?
Yeah. So the Patriots, really didn't inspire me in this game.
They're not winning.
Obviously, they pulled away at the end there, but what the hell was that first half?
They're Patriots. Listen to me closely. Y'all are going home this weekend. You know why? Because if you can barely score against the Chargers, how the heck are you supposed to beat the Texans? Because the thing is, Drake May. This dude goes out there, and he honestly shits the bed. The only reason that they won the game is because they were playing the Los Angeles Chargers. If they were playing the Texans, you could probably make an argument, even the Steelers, I know you might not like that, but even the Steelers, what's it called?
The Steelers, listen, we're gonna finish talking about the Steelers game, but like the Steelers are just but the Steelers did not have any business being anywhere near the playoffs. The Steelers are a chaos team that gets weird shit done in the playoffs or in the regular season, but when it comes that time to actually like show up, they aren't even the same remote existence of a team. Like this the any team that played the Steelers this year was going to blow them out. It didn't need to be the Texans. It was the Texans, but I think the Texans have a lot of flaws. And again, we're going to talk about that coming up here in a little bit, but I feel like the Texans have a lot of flaws, and I don't think the Texans are going to win the Super Bowl.
Maybe.
I don't.
Texans definitely. I will say this though: if the Texans win the Super Bowl, you have to put their defense top 5 all time.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. If they win the Super Bowl, it will be because their defense dragged them there.
And honestly, I'm already there putting them top 5 all time. I've already openly said I think they're one of the best defenses of all time. I don't give a damn.
I don't agree with that. Like they've been playing like that lately,
and I will not hesitate. I will stand on that ground, man, because the fact their offense has looked so putrid the past few games, and yet they are dominating folks. Like,
so
I'm talking about their defense scored the best offense their offense did on Monday.
What the hell happened? I mean, like, I'm not saying like they had a really good season, but there were some games where there were some games where I just did not understand what the hell the Texans defense was doing this year. And so that's why I struggle to say top 5 all time, because like what the hell were they doing against the Jaguars in that week 8 or 9 game? What the hell were they doing, against the Colts at the end of the year?
I mean, I understand, but like that defense is like I just don't know how you can look, especially at this Texans Patriots matchup. I don't understand. And I understand the Patriots are probably going to be favored to win since they're the 2 seed, but I've never seen a game between a 5 and a 2 seed where I am dead confident that the 5 seed's going to win.
I'm not. I mean, look. Let me be clear. I totally believe that the Texans could win this game. I would not say that would be my assumption, though. Like, I think it's going to be a very interesting and a very defensive game. But if Drake May can show up and play like the player that he's been throughout a lot of this season, then I think the Patriots are going to run right through him.
Say his name right.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No. I'm not against it, but now that you're demanding I do it, I'm not going to do it.
His name is Drake May.
Okay, so anyway, let's move on, because I mean, good Lord, we're going on 2 hours here. So let's wrap it up here and talk about the Steelers and Texans. The Steelers, that result was almost worth them making the playoffs. And I will say, it is worth noting that the Ravens are, like, I think it was Stranger who was in here saying like he doesn't want the Ravens to be the first team to win the AFC North 3 times. Well, now that hasn't happened, and the Steelers got absolutely embarrassed again in the playoffs. And the last time the Steelers didn't embarrass themselves in the playoffs, I can't even remember. Like, it's been that fucking long. Like the last time I remember the Steelers doing anything in the playoffs was when they beat us. And even then, the only reason they beat us is because we imploded. Like, that wasn't the Steelers being good, as you saw the way they played against the Broncos the following week. But, or was it the Patriots? I can't remember. Whoever they played against the following week. I know, but whoever they played against the following week, they did not really inspire at all. But, like, they didn't really inspire against us either. Like, we had that game won until Jeremy Hill fumbled. And then, Pac-Man and Adam Jones lost their god damn minds, and partly due to like Billy Porter egging them on as a coach, which I still can't believe that wasn't caught and penalized at the time. They focused all of their efforts on us because we were the ones who had Vontez Burfict and they had a magnifying glass on us. But the Steelers were just as chippy and just as egregious and just as whatever in that game. And frankly, I mean, neither team really deserved to win that game, but the Steelers sure as hell didn't deserve to win that game. So I'm shit. The last time the Steelers were in the playoffs, and I was like, "Damn, they're pretty good." I mean, it's been over a decade, and that's what happened again this year. You had like the Aaron Rodgers experiment finally was. I mean, I'll be the first to admit that the Aaron Rodgers experiment was a lot more successful in Pittsburgh this year than I thought it was going to be. But what we saw in the playoffs was what I said that the Steelers, the Aaron Rodgers experiment was going to be. Unfortunately, it wasn't the rest of the season like I was hoping for. But what we saw in the playoffs, that was exactly what I was anticipating the Aaron Rodgers version of the Steelers to be. And frankly, that's all anybody's really going to remember them as anyway.
Yeah, look, the Steelers, I just think that the Texans are just, I mean, like there was like the first half they were like playing around or whatnot, but then when they stopped playing with their food, like this is exactly why I said their defense is one of the best all time, because like their offense, it's like insanely weird.
Hold on a minute. Are you using the Steelers as your benchmark for why the Texans defense is so good? The Steelers offense.
That's not what I'm saying. But the fact that their offense had 7 or scored 14, well, I guess if the field goal counts, 17 total points, and the defense still dominated. Like their offense scored 17 points, but the Texans scored 30.
Yes. But that was okay. Texans have an amazing defense. I'm not arguing that.
One of the best all time.
But that particular game was just as much the Steelers getting in their own way as it was the Texans being good.
Oh, how's your boy Sheldon Rankins doing? I saw he scored a touchdown.
Oh man, that was wild. Because, like, look, that was one of the most wild things I've ever seen in my life for me and from my perspective. Because I'm just sitting here watching Sheldon Rankins get a thick 6, which, by the way, is an amazing phrase.
Yeah.
I'm watching Sheldon Rankins make a big play in a playoff game and running the ball back and getting a touchdown and having this big celebratory moment against the Steelers. And I'm over here losing my mind like, oh, let's go. Ah! And I think I even tweeted out, I'm like, hey, look, Sheldon Rankins actually did something for the Bengals after all. But at the same time, it was also like, it was really exciting. And it was so surreal because it was like, that's Sheldon Rankins. Like that's the fucking dumbass who scammed us out of however much money we paid him.
Sheldon Rankins was a good player for us.
He sure was. He was a garbage, player for us. I mean, I'm not saying injuries don't have something to do with something, but like it didn't even really feel like he tried. Like when he was out on the field, he wasn't trying at all.
We look and we don't judge.
Isn't that our job?
No.
Isn't that the whole reason why we have a show is to judge?
No.
I mean, there's only so much judging we can do. Neither of us are in the NFL.
Exactly.
But yeah, that Sheldon Rankins play was so weirdly surreal to me because it was. Let me find my tweet because like it really just kind of summed up exactly how I felt about it because it was like it was really cool, but it was also like what the hell.
Exactly.
CJ Stroud was trolling. Obviously it's been memed at this point because he's just like waiting for the Steelers fans. He's like, "You mad?" And I tweeted, I tweeted that. I said, "Don't make me like you," because I don't want to like an Ohio State quarterback, but the way the Texans just rubbed it in the Steelers' faces. Like I named the title of this episode, like in the thumbnail. I put karma into everything. What the Steelers experienced against the Texans, the only thing that could have made it better was if it had come against either the Bengals or the Ravens. That's the only thing. Because like the amount of like trolling and dunking on that the Steelers got in this game, and their fans just like losing their minds and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, I just said I forgive you, Sheldon Rankins. That's all I said.
Oh wow.
I felt pretty happy with him in that moment. Even now, I'm like, you know what? At least he did that one thing against the Steelers. Wish he would have done something for us. But you know what? Whatever. It's all water under the bridge at this point. Okay. So anyway, yeah, Steelers suck. Texans. I wouldn't be okay. Let me be clear. I would not be shocked if the Texans won the Super Bowl. They would not be my pick. For what that's worth. But speaking of picks, let's go ahead and make our picks for next week, and then we can get out of here.
All right.
Yep, because we are. Oh boy, we I think we're gonna go over 2 hours this time.
Yay!
All right. So let's see. We got 4 games to predict, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so let's start with the Bills going to Denver to play the Broncos. What you got?
I got Bills. I just don't think the Broncos have. Like, I understand they're the 1 seed, but they're like, bruh, like they beat the Raiders 10-7 on a Thursday night, and the Raiders can't even they can't even look at the Bills. That's how much of a difference that is. So the Bills they finna crush them. I understand Denver's got a good defense, but that offense is just too inconsistent for me. If they have a shootout with Josh Allen's winning.
Yep. That whole thing with the Raiders and similar things like that is exactly why I'm picking the Broncos. Because I've learned. I think at this point I've just learned my lesson of picking against the Broncos. Like I couldn't tell you why they're gonna win. I just know they're gonna win. Why? I don't know, but they're gonna fucking win. Apparently, I don't. It's weird and it's kind of dumb, and it's gonna be if they have a Super Bowl run, it's gonna be one of the most boring Super Bowl runs you've ever seen. But like,
we will respect Sean Payton in his journey to
I am starting honestly with what Sean Payton's doing with the Broncos. I'm starting to gain a lot of respect for him this year because this year,
no longer
this
overrated
year is something. Yeah, I think so. I'm really impressed by what he's doing this year because the results he's getting out of a Broncos team that frankly isn't nearly as good as its record is that's coaching.
So he's changed your mind. So now you can shut up about the overrated talk.
We'll see if he keeps this up. But yes, I am definitely going in the direction right now of I'm starting to believe in Sean Payton as like as legitimately worth a lot of the hype he gets.
Kyle, I knew you could do it.
I just felt like he hadn't really shown it to me until recently.
I knew you could do it.
But at the same time, let's see if he keeps it up. If the Broncos win a Super Bowl this year, I'll give it to you, right? Like I won't argue anymore about Sean Payton. But if they come out and they lay an egg next week, man, like I don't know.
They're playing tomorrow.
Well, next from the wild card, you know what I mean.
Oh damn, that's crazy.
Okay, so I'm taking the Broncos because chaos. 49ers Seahawks in Seattle.
Seahawks, they're winning this. I mean, the 49ers, Look, the 49ers are a good team, and I'll give them credit for all the injuries that they've dealt with. But at some point, the injuries are catching up with them. And we saw what happened in Week 18. So,
not to mention the Seahawks team feels like a team of destiny.
yeah.
The Seahawks, it's in Seattle, which is always such a massive advantage for the Seahawks. Everything I've seen from the Seahawks this year has made me believe that, like, you know, I mean, we can maybe make the argument about the Texans being top whatever defense all time, but as far as a cohesive unit goes, this Seahawks team might be one of the most cohesive teams of all time. Like the amount that they complement each other on every side of the ball is just wild.
Sam Darnold is the second quarterback all time to win 14 games in back-to-back seasons.
Yeah.
Ain't that just crazy?
That is, yeah. That is absolutely. I didn't even think about that, but yes, that's wild. Texans, Patriots. You kind of already gave your prediction on this one.
Texans by a landslide.
Okay. I'm gonna take the Patriots because, like, I understand, and I would not. I'm not. You know, if you remember when we, I don't think it was me and you. I think it was the Battle of Ohio podcast, and we'd have our, like, you know, big upset of the week or something like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, like other shows will have like the lock of the week and stuff like that. I wouldn't choose this for any sort of like guarantee type of thing. Like I'm not feeling super confident either way about this. I like both of these teams. I think both these teams have a lot to give. I think the Patriots are a more solid unit overall. I have a lot of questions about that Texans offense, particularly. And I feel like, you know, like D'Amico Ryan's a very good coach. Vrabel's a better coach. So I don't know, like I'm not all in on the Patriots, and I'm not saying the Texans are trash. I'm just saying, like, I feel like the Patriots are, especially being the home team here, Texans are going to have to come into you know, cold weather and deal with that. I got the Patriots taking it.
Okay.
Stranger says bleep the 49ers. Agree about that. And agree with Mikey about the injuries. Yeah, that's another thing with the 49ers. There's too many injuries. They're like they overcame them to win last week, which was really good and impressive. But like the Seahawks are a bigger opponent than they beat last week. Like it's just a different level.
Some people are like making up theories that because the 49ers facility is next, I forgot what the place is called, but it's next to something that people are saying could create injuries. So that's why they're saying 49ers get injured a lot. So.
I don't know. It's hard to say, but I mean they've been dealing with injuries, like a crazy number of injuries ever since Kyle Shanahan got there, frankly.
So maybe Shanahan keeps poisoning their Gatorade or something.
I don't know, maybe. All right, so by the way, just to update everybody, I told Mikey about this before we went live, but me and him split last week, which is funny because like there was only 2 games that we picked the same last week, and we still ended up with the same record. We both picked the Texans to beat the Steelers, and we both picked the Jaguars to beat the Bills. And even then we split, right? Because like we went 1-1 in those games that we picked the same one on, and the other ones I was just all different, and we still ended up 3-3.
I told you to pick the Saints, but you didn't want to listen to me. I told you we were going to win.
But you didn't pick the Saints either.
I did.
But you didn't.
In my heart, I did.
Okay. Well, but you didn't though, because like the Rams and the Bears both won.
Okay.
So if there was any competition related to the Saints in any way whatsoever, I mean, I guess the Panthers losing technically is the most relevant to the Saints, right? Like you guys, like you've already said you don't hate the Panthers like you hate the other teams in the division, but that's the only team that was in your division that was in the playoffs, and they lost.
Yeah.
I would think most Saints fans, especially most modern Saints fans, would probably, I would imagine, hate the Rams more than the Panthers.
Bro, I have this one friend named John who's the host of the John Barnes show. He was saying how he literally was rooting for Carolina. He could not pick him. Well, that was actually not true. He said that he started rooting for the Panthers, or started rooting for the Rams, but then his dad said, no, after that no call, you can't be rooting for no Rams. And then he was like, yeah. So like he was like, bro, every single Saints fan in existence, unless you truly even then, every single Saints fan was neutral that I've met was neutral for that game. It's like we were going to be happy and sad at the same time.
Fair enough. All right. The last game we have to predict then is Rams Bears. Which, by the way, as of right now, me and Mikey are planning on streaming. That really mainly depends on my schedule, though, just because I don't really quite know what I'm doing this weekend yet, but we will figure it out. We're going to do one of these games.
This is another game where I'll be happy and sad at the same damn time. But it's like, gosh darn it. I was torn on this for a while. I got the Bears winning, mainly because I think Ben Johnson has those guys playing for something. Yeah. And obviously, and look, Sean McVay, great coach. Great. Like, the Rams are great and all that. I just don't think – this is the same Rams team that almost lost to a sub-500 Panthers team. And Stafford is playing with an injury as well, and the Bears' defense, as much as I hate to say, defense ain't that bad. So I think, the Bears, I think they're going to get after Stafford. I think it's going to be a good game. I think some points will be scored, but I think in the end, the Bears' fourth quarter heroics is going to be why they win.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I'm going to take the Bears too because just like I feel like the Bears have more momentum right now. The Rams barely beat the Panthers, lost to the Panthers earlier this season, but they barely beat the Panthers, which are, I know they're chaos incarnate, and it's fun talking about that and everything like that. But the Panthers aren't a really very good football team, and the Rams almost lost to them. What have they done in the last 6 to 7 weeks other than that? Well, they did beat the Cardinals in a relatively meaningless game at the end of the season. They lost to the Falcons. Like the fucking Falcons. They lost to the Falcons. They lost to the Seahawks in a very close game, to be fair. It was a very close game, but they lost to the Seahawks. They did beat the Lions, but the Lions the Lions in the second half of the season were not the same team as the first half of the season. They beat the shit out of the Cardinals in the other game they played against them, but again, it's the fucking Cardinals, whoop-de-doo. And then they lost to the Panthers prior to that. So I don't know, there's a lot's been made about Matt Stafford and his MVP season, and okay, whatever. But I just the Rams as a whole. I feel like they're not. Then again, I said this in 2021 that the Rams were too chaotic, and I didn't see them doing much in the playoffs. And then they go and win the fucking Super Bowl. But I don't know. I really feel like, then again, Sean McVay is a really good head coach. So, I've been saying this about other guys like Sean Payton. Just because the team isn't very good doesn't mean that, with the right coach, you can't get it done. So I guess whatever. But I don't know. With the Rams, the Bears, you made a good point about how Ben Johnson has the Bears he's got them believing, he's got them really kind of vibing with each other and everything like that. And the energy is just too damn high right now, especially with their ability to they're never out of it. It doesn't matter if they're down, 27-3
with 50 seconds left. They'll find a way.
Exactly. They will find a way to potentially win the games. Whereas the Rams, I feel like the Rams have been flirting with disaster all year. And I feel like the team chemistry with the Bears is at an all-time high right now, and I don't get that feeling from the Rams. So I mean, we'll see. Like the Rams are probably the better football team, but it feels like the Bears are the team that if you're gonna bet on anybody, you'd bet on the Bears here.
Yeah.
So that would leave next week. You would have. We're both picking the NFC Championship game to be between the Seahawks and the Bears. Although interestingly enough, we have wildly different AFC Championship predictions. I'm saying it's going to be Broncos Patriots. You're saying it's going to be Bills Texans.
Oh wow!
So who would win between the Bills and the Texans, Mikey?
Well, okay. So the Bills Texans, that one, if that comes out to be the case, I think the Texans defense will not I think the defense is great, but the Bills lost to the Texans this season, and Josh Allen. One thing I know about him, I think this has to be the year. If the Bills don't win it this year, they're never going to win at this point.
Josh Allen's real bad at doing this. So I disagree. I think if the Bills do make it and play the Texans, I don't think they win. Now, if they play the Patriots, they might beat the Patriots. But I think if they play the Texans, I don't think they win.
But it's like that game's also hard to predict, though. I just think not even one of the best defenses in the league can beat Josh Allen. Like Josh Allen's that. Like Josh Allen, he can turn into Superman anytime. Like I don't put any of the maybe the Bengals game when they lost to the Bengals in the playoffs, maybe that was on Allen. But all the other games, that was just unfortunate. Like Josh Allen there was nothing better he could have done every time he played against the Chiefs. Like he dominated the Chiefs. The Chiefs just dominated back.
Okay, so as far as NFC Championship goes, Seahawks or Bears?
Seahawks, Bears. That's another tough one. I would probably go Seahawks, though. I just think they're just even though the Bears are playing hard right now, I mean, I think Seattle, they're just, like you said, they're the team of destiny for me.
So you think the Seahawks beat the Bills in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I still think the Seahawks are going to win the Super Bowl. I've got the Broncos beating the Bills. So I've got Broncos Patriots in the AFC Championship, which is the opposite of what you got. And I think the Broncos win that game. And then I think they go on to lose to the Seahawks in a reverse of the Super Bowl that happened.
Wait, so who do you have? Well, so you have Broncos in the Super Bowl?
Yeah. Oh, wait, no. I'm thinking of the Panthers. No, it'd be the same result of the Super Bowl that had the last.
Yeah, it's going to be 43-8, and the Broncos going to quit in the second quarter?
You know what? I wouldn't be shocked if we got a Seahawks Broncos Super Bowl and you had another, maybe not 43-8 exactly, but you had another massive scoreline like that.
Like, bro, can we all agree that Super Bowl? Like, we talk a lot of crap about the Patriots Rams, but if there's one Super Bowl that could compete with Patriots Rams being the worst Super Bowl of all time, it's probably that one.
Yeah, I was not. That was such a. I mean, it was kind of funny to watch the Broncos for a little bit. It was kind of funny to watch them get beaten that badly in that game. But after a little bit, it was just like, okay, this is boring. And that's what most Super Bowls were, by the way. Before, in my lifetime, most Super Bowls have been really competitive and really interesting. But most Super Bowls prior to my lifetime were all more like that, where they were just blowouts.
The big birthday blowout.
It was a Super Bowl, not a birthday, but okay.
It's the birthday of the Super Bowl.
It's not the birthday. It's not.
The cream cheese Super Bowl. That's why when they win the Super Bowl, they give you a soup in a bowl.
But they don't do that, though.
They do it today.
Today's not the Super Bowl.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
I played my Madden Super Bowl earlier today.
Did the Saints win?
No. Well, actually, yesterday I was playing with the Saints on Madden, right? Trying to win us. Well, it was either yesterday or the day before that. But I was the Saints trying to win us that Super Bowl. And I remember in the walk around we were playing against the 49ers, and we done scored a touchdown with 0 seconds left to win that game. And then I beat the Packers on a game-winning field goal. Then I played against the Giants in the NFC Championship, and believe it or not, the Giants is the one that stomped our ass. So I was like, no, we did not make it to the Super Bowl.
That's what I'm saying, stranger. A lot of those, like the first 20 Super Bowls, were all just boring as hell.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're over 2 hours, I think, now. So I think about time to get out of here. Let me see. What's the actual? Oh, that's over here. Okay.
2 hours.
2 hours and 4 minutes, and actually about now it's 2 hours and 5 minutes. So yeah, that's definitely one of our. I don't think it's our longest one. I think we've I think we've had one that went like over 2.5 hours at one point, but this is definitely, we definitely I guess had more to talk about than we thought going into this one. But anyway, that's going to be it for this week. So we will see what happens next week. Me and Mikey are currently tied in predictions. We'll see if that breaks throughout the rest of the playoffs. I'll always have the regular season. But anyway. And I will have the fact that I was right again about the Bears beating the Packers.
Yo, who finished? Wait, hold on. Didn't the Bengals finish with the same record as the Saints?
Yeah, what is that? I'm confused. What does that have to do with anything?
My team will always have the regular season.
You went 6-11.
Yeah.
It's not good. Just because it's the same record as us. We were bad.
And we were a good 6-11.
No, you weren't.
Yes, we did.
You finished strong.
We did the most important part.
Get swept by the Falcons? I agree.
No. We found our future quarterback.
But you did get swept by the Falcons.
Congratulations.
And you lost to Dennis Allen.
Congratulations. Dennis Allen beat our backup too.
I'm just saying, you're saying it was a good. I mean, like, yes, you found your quarterback. Congratulations. Yeah, that's good. I'm not saying that there aren't positives, but I am saying it's a bad season.
This for the first time in 10 years. Whatever will I do?
Lose.
Oh no, Atlanta swept us, and yet they have less Super Bowl rings than us. Oh no, I don't think I'm gonna be able to go to sleep tonight knowing that. Oh no, whatever will I do?
Same number of Super Bowls that you've actually witnessed.
I don't care.
That's kind of worth pointing out, though. Like, I mean, I used to shit on Steelers fans all the time for clinging on to the past, and they had actually won Super Bowls in my lifetime.
I don't care. Look. One thing you can never do, you can never change the past. So I'm sorry if I look at that Super Bowl ring. Like, look, Kyle, you know damn well if the Bengals won the Super Bowl, you would be saying the same damn shit.
To who?
To me.
No, because But you've won a Super Bowl as well.
No, if the Bengals won a Super Bowl and the Saints didn't, you know damn well you'd be talking that crap.
Probably not. But the reason why I wouldn't is because, like I said, I dealt with the only time it would have ever happened was 2021. And by then, I would have already had the entire lifetime of dealing with Steelers fans talking about their Super Bowl rings and living in the past. So I probably would not be using, at this point, in 2026, I would not be using the Bengals 2021 Super Bowl victory if it had happened as bragging material, because that was like, what, half a decade ago? I don't even really talk about how that was like this great thing that happened for us, that we went to the Super Bowl now, regardless of whether we won or not. I don't really talk about that much because, like, that was half a decade ago.
Well, still, man, look, I'm a guy where if, the Saints win, I appreciate it. Like, not a lot of teams, like, I don't know if the Saints are ever going to win the Super Bowl again. That's why I look at that 2009 Super Bowl. as a masterpiece.
Oh,
'Cause
yes,
I don't
absolutely.
know-
Be happy that you won the Super Bowl, but trying to use it as like bragging rights over another team that in your lifetime has been arguably as successful as the Saints, if not more.
No, they haven't.
They, how many Super Bowls have you guys been to in your lifetime?
One.
In any capacity that you had any idea what was going on?
One.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. When I was 10 months old, my brain was saying Who Dat. So yes.
No, it wasn't. You've even said before that you didn't even really like the Saints.
I never said that. I said I didn't like football. There's a difference.
Didn't you say you used to root against the Saints? I swear you said that.
Like maybe, but
Like to be a dick, but still.
I mean, yeah. I mean, okay. Well, that's not what I said. I didn't root against Saints. I just rooted. I don't know. I just felt like being a Saints fan was boring at the time.
I agree. That is Steelers fans. Although I think Steelers fans are starting to catch up with the present now because they're in like, you know, the sky is falling mode. Finally, they should have been in the sky is falling mode like 10 fucking years ago, but you know, they finally caught up to it because the Steelers live in the past.
Bro, okay.
Am I wrong?
I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with looking in the past.
I think there's something to be said about. Look, there's nothing wrong with appreciating the past. That's not what I'm saying. There is something wrong to be said, or there is something wrong with avoiding the present by using the past as like a shield. Like you know, if I actually had that much of a problem with it, I'd be slamming you to shitting back for, you know, being like, we won that Super Bowl that one time, you know, like 2 fucking decades ago. Like, you know, like, I mean, it doesn't really bother me all that much, but, you know, if like when Steelers fans were trying to act like, you know, that, you know, winning 2 Super Bowls in the 2000s had anything to do with, you know, the last, you know, 10 most recent years, is like, what does that fucking mean? Like, what are those 6 Super Bowls doing for you other than giving you some, like, you know, fun, like, oh, I can go watch a cool documentary about the Steelers in the 70s. Like, okay, they sure did win a bunch of Super Bowls in the 70s. I wasn't alive for any of them. And they did win some Super Bowls in my lifetime. And one of those Super Bowls really hurt my feelings a lot. And it made me a very sad boy and etc. But
Man, imagine watching your rivals win the Super Bowl, but this couldn't be me.
Well,
that's crazy.
You kind of did.
No, I didn't.
But you did, like, because like your rivalries are weird, right? Because like the only team you give a shit about, it seems like, is the Falcons, right?
And the Rams.
And the Rams, which, by the way, you did watch them win a Super Bowl against us.
Well, yeah, I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I even made a bet with myself. If the Bengals won that game, I was gonna just dump a can of Coca-Cola on my head. I was very disappointed. I did not do that.
Yeah, I was also disappointed that we didn't win that Super Bowl for different reasons. But yeah, that's different because like so I'm talking about the Buccaneers. I know they're not the rival, but they're still a rival. So it's like, you know, you hate the Falcons a shit ton. In the same way that, like, at least historically, Bengals hate the Browns.
They're a Saints rival.
We have a very similar relationship with the Browns that you have with the Falcons. Now I hate the Steelers more, but that's personal preference, right? A lot of Bengals fans really hate the Steelers, and like the Bengals-Steelers games have a history of being a lot chippier than Browns-Steelers game or than Browns-Bengals games because there's just more really like toxic blood there that doesn't really exist with the Browns. Now, I mean, it would have like 40 years ago, but you know, now it's more of just kind of like the Browns are a team we hate more so than there's any real reason for it.
The Bucks are a Saints rival, but they're not a Mikey rival.
Okay, but that's what I'm talking about though. Like it's a team, and so you have watched a Saints rival win a Super Bowl. I mean, like I watched the Ravens win 2 Super Bowls, and neither affected me at all, honestly. Like the Ravens, I was rooting for the Ravens in 2012, and in 2000 I didn't have any feelings about the Ravens at all because first of all I was 8, and second of all they were a brand new team, and we had basically no history with them at that point.
That's nice.
So, watching the Steelers win Super Bowls has been bad, but like you've watched the Buccaneers win Super Bowls and watched, Tom Brady, kind of, have the last laugh, frankly.
Yeah, congratulations. He beat us, one time when we had Drew Brees?
The time that mattered. All the other times don't matter.
I don't give no shit, bro. I don't give no shit. I'm a petty motherfucker. I don't give a shit that they won the Super Bowl that year. They could have won 2 Super Bowls, 3 Super Bowls. I don't give no fucking shit.
Well, that's nice for you.
Like they could have freaking won. They could be a 5-time Super Bowl champ right now, and I would still not care. If it ain't the Falcons and if it ain't the Rams, I don't care. Whatever Super Bowl for all I care. I don't give no damn shit about them. I don't even think about them 50 out of the 52 weeks.
This is why I say that you don't hold a candle to my pettiness, because a team can, like the Bengals can lose to another team and it be entirely their fault, and their fans are like nice about it and stuff like that, and I still hate them. I will root against them for the entire rest of the season because of that.
I used to be like that,
but that's what I'm saying though. Like it's not like if the Browns suddenly mattered, then I would, like, you bet your ass. I rooted for them in one playoff game, and that was against the Steelers because duh. But like the very next week, absolutely not. I'll root for the like against the Chiefs. No, fuck the Browns, dude. Like I don't give a shit if I hate the Chiefs. Like actually at the time I didn't even really hate the Chiefs. Like that was before all that started. But even if it was like the current Patrick Mahomes Chiefs, I still would not root for the Browns over them. Fuck the Browns.
But nah, it was like the thing is, I used to be like that because I remember I would go to school being like, man, the Dolphins just beat us in the preseason. I'll lose every freaking game. Damn.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. Like I mean, we lose a preseason game against the 3rd-string backup quarterback who leads a game-winning drive against our practice squad, and I'm like, all right, well, you know what? I hate you forever. Hope you're happy.
Like I remember we lost the preseason game to the Dolphins. I was upset that entire week. But in my defense, I was like 8 or 9 years old, so I was like, man.
Yeah, to be fair, Murphy does the same thing. Like,
I don't even know if I knew it was preseason or not. I just knew that it was football.
Every time he hears about the Bengals losing, he doesn't even understand if the games matter or not. He just understands that the Bengals lost, and suddenly that's just like the biggest fucking problem on the planet, which is a nice change of pace, because after they lost the Super Bowl, he hated the Bengals for a while because he was mad at the Bengals for losing the Super Bowl.
Dang.
Now he's kind of come back around, which is nice, but he's very he's very volatile with that too. So anyway, before we get going any further, it's like 11:30 at night, and I have to work in the morning, so we're getting out of here now.
I have church in the morning.
On a Saturday?
Yeah.
What are you, Jewish?
No, I volunteered. There's a difference.
All right. Okay. Well, anyway, that's going to be it for us today. So I will leave y'all, as always, with a fuck the Steelers.
Who Dat? F the Falcons forever.
Yeah, but the Steelers actually played this week, so that's why.
Okay.